Imagine scrolling through your social media feed late at night, exhausted from the day's heavy burdens, when a soft, soothing voice suddenly stops your thumb. Chosen one, you have zero clue who you truly are in the spirit world. Take a moment to slow your thoughts. For a fleeting second, you feel profoundly seen. You feel special. The video speaks directly to your quietest insecurities and hidden struggles, assuring you that your pain is not a failure, but simply a rigorous preparation for a divine, sacred purpose. It is a powerful, deeply intoxicating hook. But what seems like a serendipitous moment of profound spiritual healing is, in reality, the opening gambit of a meticulously crafted digital trap. In recent years, there has been an unprecedented explosion of content, masquerading as spiritual guidance, religious comfort, and psychological healing across short-form video platforms like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels. Operating under the guise of modern-day prophets, empathetic life coaches, or enlightened spiritual guides, invisible creators broadcast highly targeted, emotionally resonant messages to millions of vulnerable users. They offer a digital sanctuary for the lost, the lonely, and the financially desperate. However, beneath the ambient background music and the comforting, hypnotic cadences lies a much darker, highly calculated reality. These viral videos are rarely about genuine spiritual awakening or psychological well-being. Instead, they are highly sophisticated, predatory marketing funnels disguised as divine intervention. They weaponize faith, exploit emotional vulnerability, and manipulate human psychology to serve a single, cynical purpose: profit. By artificially inducing a trance-like state of trust, validation, and total surrender, these creators soften their targets' rational defenses before executing a jarring bait and switch. The ultimate goal is not salvation, but to herd mesmerized viewers toward dubious financial schemes, predatory wealth manifestation courses, or outright scams that are entirely incongruous with the initial spiritual premise. How does a comforting message about divine protection seamlessly transition into a high-pressure advertisement for a leaked CIA brainwave ritual meant to manifest luxury cars? To understand this alarming digital phenomenon, we must dissect the anatomy of this deception. This article will deconstruct the architecture of these spiritual scams. We will explore the psychological manipulation tactics that exploit the chosen one complex, the weaponization of religious rhetoric to build instant false authority, the algorithmic traps designed to harvest micro-commitments, and finally, the aggressive financial pivot that turns human vulnerability into a highly lucrative industry. This is a highly calculated directive. By instructing the viewer to accept the message without resistance, the creator is implicitly framing skepticism and logic as negative traits that will block them from receiving a divine blessing. The slow, deliberate pacing of the text encourages the viewer to stop overthinking and surrender to pure emotion. Once the analytical brain is switched off, the viewer becomes highly susceptible to the manipulative suggestions that follow. Perhaps the most potent psychological hook in the entire script is its ability to instantly absolve the viewer of their past failures, regrets, and traumas. The script addresses the viewer's history of hardship by stating, "There is a reason you have been protected in ways that do not always make sense, and a reason certain paths closed even when you wanted them to stay open." This narrative offers a powerful psychological relief. A lost job, a painful breakup, or a failed business venture is no longer seen as a consequence of bad luck or poor decision-making. Instead, the script reframes these painful events as deliberate acts of divine intervention, asserting that God was protecting you from connections and situations that could not support the deeper purpose within you. The creator assures the victim that they were being guided, even in the moments when it felt like everything was falling apart, and that their journey is carefully unfolding piece by piece. By lifting the heavy burden of personal responsibility and replacing it with the comforting idea of divine orchestration, the creator locks the viewer into a state of deep emotional dependency. The viewer is now primed and ready for the next phase of the funnel, the false comfort of toxic positivity and religious weaponization. Once the creator has successfully engaged the viewer's ego and bypassed their rational defenses, the next phase of the manipulation begins, the construction of absolute, unquestionable authority. To achieve this, these predatory scripts hijack the most powerful, deeply ingrained cultural structures available. They wrap their deceptive marketing funnels in the unimpeachable cloak of religion and spirituality, offering a dangerous brand of toxic positivity designed to keep the viewer entirely pacified. The script does not merely offer friendly advice, it explicitly frames its message as a divine revelation. By invoking sacred figures and concepts, the creator instantly borrows centuries of established reverence and trust. The text explicitly assures the viewer that their identity has always been known and protected by God. This is a highly calculated linguistic shortcut. For many viewers, questioning a random internet influencer is easy, but questioning a message that claims to speak on behalf of God is psychologically daunting. The script deepens this false intimacy by stating, "When Jesus looks at you, he does not see confusion or doubt the way you sometimes see yourself." This creates a direct, infallible endorsement of the viewer's worth. The creator positions themselves not as a salesperson, but as an exclusive, clairvoyant conduit for divine will. By asserting that Jesus has been close to you in ways you may not have always recognized, guiding your heart gently, the creator forces the viewer into a state of deep submission. To reject the video's upcoming pitch would feel tantamount to rejecting divine grace itself. Furthermore, the script actively isolates the viewer from external logic by creating an us versus the world dichotomy. It warns that the world may have tried to label you, define you, or place limits on who you are allowed to become. By claiming that the viewer carries something that cannot be fully explained by the world's understanding, the creator inoculates the target against the critical thinking and skepticism of their friends, family, or society. Beneath the comforting religious rhetoric lies a highly destructive form of toxic positivity. The script aggressively promotes a narrative where the viewer is essentially a passive passenger in their own life. It promises an automatic, effortless resolution to all of life's struggles, stating, "There is no need to rush this understanding because what is meant for you will reveal itself in the perfect time that God has already prepared." While this sounds deeply reassuring to someone overwhelmed by debt or emotional pain, its true purpose is to cultivate absolute docility. The creator insists, there is no need to rush or force anything because everything is unfolding at the pace that is right for you. The script even strips the viewer of credit for their own survival, claiming that their resilience is not something you created on your own, because it has been supported by the love of Jesus. This enforced passivity is critical to the scam. A proactive, critically thinking person might attempt to solve their financial ruin through logic, hard work, or seeking professional help. A pacified, docile viewer, however, will simply wait for a miracle. By convincing the victim that they do not need to take real-world action, the creator creates a void they will soon fill with an artificial, instant solution. To ensure the target is fully malleable before the financial trap is sprung, the script utilizes a sprawling, repetitive structure meant to induce a trance-like state. The text is intentionally bloated with circular, flowery prose that acts as a psychological sedative. The creator repeatedly commands the viewer to relax, promising that embracing the message will act like a soft hand resting over your heart, reminding you that you are safe and deeply known. The script loops back to these themes continuously, assuring the target that the heaviness you have carried begins to feel lighter, and the confusion that once clouded your thoughts slowly starts to clear. This repetitive cadence mimics the structure of a guided meditation. The creator wants the viewer to allow yourself to rest in this truth, promising a resulting sense of calm that cannot be easily shaken by external circumstances. This artificial, sustained soothing is the anesthetic applied before the extraction. By wrapping the viewer in a warm, impenetrable cocoon of spiritual affirmation, the creator ensures that the subsequent, jarring pivot to a financial scam is met with a completely neutralized cognitive guard. The victim is no longer analyzing information, they are simply feeling, floating, and waiting to be directed. While the hypnotic, spiritual prose lulls the viewer into a false sense of security, the video is silently executing a highly calculated technical strategy. The creator is not merely broadcasting a message, they are actively harvesting interactions. To transform a passive viewer into a profitable lead, the script employs a series of algorithmic engagement traps, leveraging a well-documented psychological principle known as the foot-in-the-door technique. The foot-in-the-door technique dictates that if a person agrees to a minor, low-friction request, they become significantly more likely to comply with a much larger demand later on. In the context of a digital scam, the creator cannot immediately ask a viewer to pull out their credit card or click on a suspicious external link. The friction is too high, and the cognitive alarm bells would ring. Instead, the creator asks for micro-commitments. Early in the text, before any financial pitch is made, the script gently requests a digital interaction. If your heart feels touched even slightly, take a second to like the video, because that simple act becomes a quiet agreement with the light that is reaching toward you right now. By framing a simple screen tap as a profound spiritual act, the creator successfully extracts the first micro-commitment. The viewer is no longer just watching, they are physically participating in the funnel. Having crossed this initial threshold of compliance, the psychological barrier to taking further, more consequential actions such as navigating away from the platform to click a sales link is drastically lowered. The most insidious aspect of these micro-commitments is how they weaponize the viewer's spirituality to force engagement. The creator essentially holds the viewer's faith hostage, equating the avoidance of a digital interaction with the rejection of divine grace. Throughout the video, the viewer is bombarded with conditional commands. The script demands that they type 666 if you trust in God, or type 1212 if you walk by faith. Later, the creator issues a similar directive: type 666 if you trust Jesus. This is a form of digital emotional blackmail. If the viewer truly considers themselves a person of faith, scrolling past without commenting creates an immediate, uncomfortable sense of cognitive dissonance. The implication is clear. Failing to type the required numbers means you lack faith, or worse, that you are actively ignoring Jesus. To alleviate this artificially induced guilt, the viewer complies, leaving a comment and solidifying their psychological submission to the creator's authority. Furthermore, they are instructed to type yes to affirm the spiritual message, actively forcing them to agree with the premise being established before the ultimate trap is sprung. To the vulnerable viewer, typing these specific sequences of numbers feels like unlocking a sacred code. The script explicitly links these numerical inputs to supernatural rewards, instructing the audience to type 2020 to claim miracles and type 1919 to receive miracles. The creator also tests agreement by asking the viewer to type 2323 if you agree. While these numbers masquerade as mystical, angel numbers, or divine frequencies, their true purpose is entirely algorithmic. Social media platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram do not understand human spirituality. They understand data. Their algorithms prioritize and promote content that generates high velocity and high volume engagement. When a video successfully convinces thousands of desperate, hopeful viewers to rush to the comment section and type 1919 or 2020, it sends a massive positive signal to the platform's algorithm. The system perceives the video as highly engaging, culturally relevant content. Consequently, the algorithm pushes the video onto the For You pages of millions of other unsuspecting users. In a cruel twist of irony, the victims of this manipulation are unknowingly utilized as unpaid laborers. By typing these fake numerological codes to claim their miracles, the viewers are actively optimizing the video's reach, feeding the algorithmic machine, and ensuring that the creator's fraudulent financial trap captures an exponentially larger audience. They are forced to build the very snare that is about to close around them. Up to this point in the video, the viewer has been carefully conditioned. Through a combination of ego-stroking, religious authority, and hypnotic pacing, their rational defenses have been entirely dismantled. They are floating in a warm, artificial sea of divine validation, having offered their algorithmic micro-commitments in the form of likes and comments. They are perfectly primed. It is exactly at this moment of maximum emotional vulnerability that the creator executes the pivot, a jarring, calculated transition from spiritual shepherd to predatory digital marketer. Without any logical segue, the soothing discourse about Jesus, divine protection, and spiritual destiny abruptly halts. The mask slips, and the script suddenly pivots to a hyper-aggressive, cheap advertisement. The creator shatters the spiritual atmosphere by asking, "What if just 7 seconds a day could completely change your financial future?" This transition is an exercise in profound cognitive dissonance. The creator introduces a bizarre, sci-fi narrative, claiming that a recently uncovered CIA-linked document has revealed a powerful brainwave ritual that everyday people are using to break free from debt and attract real wealth. In another variation seamlessly stitched into the script, it is referred to as a leaked CIA-backed study outlining a little-known brainwave technique. Logically, a leaked CIA brainwave ritual has absolutely nothing to do with being God's chosen one or walking with Jesus. However, logic is no longer a factor, because the viewer has spent the last several minutes being hypnotized into a state of blind, uncritical acceptance. They are biologically and psychologically ill-equipped to recognize the absurdity of the pitch. The creator leverages the deep trust established in the first half of the video to legitimize the blatant scam in the second half. Why do these spiritual scams invariably pivot to financial products? Because the architects of these funnels understand a grim socio-economic reality. People who are desperately seeking divine intervention online are very often drowning in real-world financial ruin. The script ruthlessly targets this exact demographic, promising that this secret ritual is helping ordinary people move from stress and debt into lives filled with money, luxury, travel, and opportunity. To maximize the emotional hook, the creator explicitly preys on those struggling with basic survival, claiming that people who once struggled to pay bills are now experiencing financial breakthroughs they never thought possible. Simultaneously, the script appeals to base human greed and materialistic fantasies. It abandons the earlier promises of inner peace, and instead dangles the prospect of manifesting new homes, luxury cars, financial freedom, and dream vacations faster than they ever imagined. The creator knows that offering a magical, effortless solution to crushing debt is the ultimate bait for a desperate mind. To further legitimize this absurd financial proposition, the script layers on fabricated evidence and pseudo-scientific authority. Religious authority is suddenly swapped for institutional authority. The creator boldly claims that this 7-second ritual is backed by research from 4 neuroscience labs. In a later iteration, the script reiterates that it is verified by 4 leading neuroscience labs, stating that these institutions confirmed its unusual effects on focus, confidence, and money attraction. No specific labs are ever named, nor is any verifiable data provided because they do not exist. Furthermore, the script manufactures overwhelming social proof to convince the viewer that they are missing out on a massive trend. The creator insists that thousands are already using it, creating the illusion of a widespread, successful movement. The final, crucial mechanism of the trap is the application of extreme urgency. If the viewer is given time to think, consult a friend, or research the CIA brainwave ritual on Google, the spell will break. The scam relies on immediate, impulsive action. To force the viewer's hand, the creator manufactures an artificial threat of censorship. The script warns, thousands are already using it, but there is a catch. This information may not stay online for long. The creator frames the viewer's discovery of the video as a divine occurrence that must be acted upon instantly. If you are seeing this right now, consider it a sign. This tactic is aggressively repeated throughout the script to maximize anxiety. The viewer is told that warnings say this page could be removed at any moment, and that, the strange part, this information keeps disappearing online. By creating this intense fear of missing out, FOMO, the creator effectively paralyzes the viewer's critical thinking. The final command is stark and urgent. Click the link in the description and comments before this secret disappears forever. And again, later. If this video found you, do not ignore it. Click the link in the description and comments now before access is removed. This is the ultimate goal of the entire spiritual charade. The viewer, driven by a fabricated sense of urgency, clicks the link. They are subsequently funneled to a predatory landing page where they will be aggressively coerced into purchasing worthless audio tracks, sham courses, or digital products, effectively handing their money over to the very people who preyed on their faith and pain. As the digital landscape becomes increasingly saturated with sophisticated psychological traps, passive scrolling is no longer a safe option. The creators of these spiritual bait-and-switch funnels rely entirely on their targets operating on autopilot, driven by emotion rather than logic. To navigate this environment safely, users must cultivate robust digital literacy and develop active psychological defense mechanisms. Protecting yourself from these predatory schemes requires recognizing their structural blueprints and refusing to play by their rules. The most effective line of defense is the ability to spot the structural anomalies of a scam before the emotional hook sets in. The absolute biggest red flag is the unnatural juxtaposition of spiritual validation and financial marketing. Genuine spiritual guidance does not culminate in a high-pressure sales pitch for a wealth manifestation course. If a video addresses you as a chosen one or invokes the name of Jesus, only to abruptly pivot to CIA-linked documents or a 7-second brainwave ritual, you are undeniably watching a scam. Furthermore, be highly suspicious of any content that equates digital engagement with spiritual obedience. Whenever a creator demands that you comment specific, meaningless numbers such as 1,919, 2,020, or 666, to claim a miracle or prove your faith, recognize this for what it is: a cynical attempt to hack the platform's engagement algorithm using your religious beliefs as leverage. These scams are expertly designed to bypass your prefrontal cortex, the logical, analytical part of your brain and appeal directly to your emotional center. They manufacture extreme urgency, warning that the secret will be deleted imminently to force impulsive action. The ultimate antidote to this manufactured urgency is time. Implement the 5-second pause rule. Whenever a video makes you feel a sudden, intense surge of emotion, whether it is profound comfort, intense curiosity, or the fear of missing out, do not click anything. Stop. Take your thumb off the screen for 5 seconds, look away from your device, and take a deep breath. This brief physical and mental disconnect shatters the hypnotic trance the video attempts to induce. In that window of clarity, ask yourself logical questions. Why would a divine entity require a paid web link to deliver a blessing? How does a secret CIA neuroscience study logically relate to Jesus? Once logic re-enters the equation, the illusion instantly crumbles. Never trust the evidence presented within the video or its immediate comment section. Scammers frequently use bot networks to flood their comments with fake testimonials, creating a powerful illusion of social proof. If a claim sounds intriguing but improbable, verify it independently outside the platform's ecosystem. Open a separate internet browser and conduct a basic search. Type the core claims of the video, such as 7-second brainwave ritual for wealth or CIA manifestation audio, followed by words like scam, debunked, or Reddit. You will almost immediately find forums, consumer protection sites, and critical reviews exposing the exact financial funnel you are being pushed into. Real scientific breakthroughs and genuine spiritual truths do not hide behind aggressive countdown timers and shady unverified link trees. Digital self-protection extends beyond simply scrolling past the trap. It involves actively degrading the scammer's ability to reach others. If you identify a video utilizing these predatory bait-and-switch tactics, do not engage with it positively or negatively. Do not even leave an angry comment calling them out, as the algorithm still registers this as valuable engagement. Instead, use the platform's built-in moderation tools quietly. Report the video immediately for spam, fraud, or deceptive practices. Once reported, block the creator's account. This serves a dual purpose. It cleanses your personal feed, training the algorithm to stop showing you similar manipulative content, and it sends a negative signal to the platform's back-end moderation system. By taking these decisive actions, you protect yourself while actively making the digital ecosystem safer for other vulnerable users. The phenomenon of the spiritual bait-and-switch is far more malicious than a standard internet scam. It represents a profound ethical violation tailored specifically for the digital age. These predatory marketing funnels do not just steal money, they exploit the most fragile and sacred aspects of the human condition. By weaponizing faith, hijacking spiritual yearning, and preying on deep-seated financial desperation, these invisible creators corrupt the very concept of digital community. They transform genuine human vulnerability into algorithmic data points, packaging toxic positivity and false divine intervention into a highly lucrative industry. Ultimately, the core message we must take away from this alarming trend is one of grounded reality. We must collectively recognize that profound life transformation, whether it involves healing a broken spirit, finding purpose, or overcoming crushing debt, is never hidden behind a mysterious, expiring internet link. True inner peace and spiritual clarity are cultivated through genuine self-reflection, real-world connection, and time. Likewise, financial freedom is built through tangible effort, discipline, and practical literacy. It is never achieved by listening to a fabricated 7-second CIA brainwave ritual, or by typing a sequence of pseudo-mystical numbers into a comment section to appease a social media algorithm. The promise of an effortless, magical shortcut is, and always will be, the trap. As we continue to navigate an increasingly complex and algorithmically driven internet, our greatest defense mechanism is a balanced, highly aware mindset. We do not need to become entirely cynical or close our hearts to genuine inspiration, art, or comfort found online. However, we must fiercely protect our vulnerabilities by pairing that open heart with a cold, analytical mind. We must cultivate a sharp, critical thinking filter that can instantly separate authentic human empathy from a calculated, predatory marketing script. The next time a disembodied voice on your feed dramatically slows down the ambient music, calls you the chosen one, and promises to reveal your hidden spiritual destiny, remember the mechanics of the illusion. You have the power to break the trance. Your true strength does not lie in a secret frequency or a leaked government document, but in your rational mind, your digital literacy, and your absolute refusal to be manipulated. Swipe away, reclaim your attention, and protect your peace.